This reality TV drama just turned into a full-fledged crime scene, and Kirk Frost and Mendeecees are in handcuffs. Oh, this isn't a staged reunion fight. This is a real-life jail time drama. How did we go from messy relationships and cheating scandals to mugshots? Was Yandy the reason Kendra did this? Or did someone finally grow weary of Kirk's constant nonsense? Witnesses claim that security couldn't stop the chaos. Furniture was flying, fists were thrown, and now Kirk. We have all the details and the leaked footage, so sit back, hit the like button, and let's get right into this madness. Even though Kirk Frost and Mendeecees are well known enough to carry an entire season of love and hip-hop, they may have never been involved in anything this crazy. And Mendeecees are facing some serious legal issues. Did Yandy save Mendeecees? Is Rashida loyal to Kirk? Where was young Jock during all of this chaos? Let's not pretend the instigators weren't in full force before we even get into the specifics of this crazy takedown. Drama is nothing new to Mendeecees and Kirk. Whether it's financial fraud, cheating scandals, or just plain mess, these two, grown men, fathers, and businessmen, were just arrested for a brawl straight out of a WWE ring. You know Yandy, Kendra, and young Jock were somewhere nearby stirring the pot like it was Thanksgiving dinner. You'd think that after 10 years of demonstrating that he is the king of messy behavior, Kirk Frost would learn his lesson when he was caught getting too comfortable with a woman who was definitely not Rashida. The internet is in flames, streets are buzzing, and even the police had to step in. So what exactly happened that led to them being cuffed, booked, and slapped with some serious charges? I promise you, this is reality TV gone wrong, so you better grab some popcorn. Lesson. After years of public humiliation. But nope, Kirk was out here with a weapon while Kirk was laughing, drinking, and whispering sweet nothings, as if his entire marriage wasn't on the line. Across the club, Mendeecees was already tense because he and Yandy had been fighting all day about something that happened on the Love and Hip Hop set. It seems that Yandy was still upset about that whole phony wedding thing from years ago. You recall that Mendeecees gave Yandy the impression that they were legally married, only for her to discover that the paperwork was, no, she hasn't forgotten. And based on the appearance of things, she didn't intend to let him forget either. So, there's Mendeecees sitting in VIP already, annoyed when he sees Kirk across the room, not only that Kirk is cozying up with another woman. Normally, Mendeecees wouldn't give a damn, but reality stars love drama, so the last thing he needed was for Yandy to discover that he saw Kirk creeping and said nothing, especially since Yandy and Rashida are close. What does Mendeecees do? He chooses to confront Kirk immediately. Witnesses say that Mendeecees stormed straight over to Kirk's section and started going off, with no warning, no build-up, just straight smoke. Kirk, on the other hand, tried to brush it off as he always does, saying, "Come on, man, you know how it is." However, Mendeecees wasn't having it, and began yelling that Kirk was embarrassing his family once more, that Rashida didn't deserve this, and that he should be ashamed of himself. Instead of shutting it down, Kirk yelled, "Oh, that was the wrong thing to say. If there's one thing about Mendeecees that he dislikes, it's that he's reminded of his own filth." And Kirk, yes, he touched that nerve. Then, all hell broke loose. Security tried to intervene as Mendeecees lunged at Kirk and drinks flew, but it was too late. Before anyone could guess who was in the midst of the chaos, young Jock, yes, young JC was attempting to break things up. Why Jock was there, though, is a mystery we may never know. The club was in complete chaos, with tables flipping, people screaming, and security fighting to contain the mess. And just when it seemed like things couldn't get any crazier, Kendra walked in. Sis should have been at home taking care of her business, but instead she stepped right into the fire. One thing is for certain, though. He didn't improve things. Instead, Jock started running his mouth. "Man, you guys need to chill. Kirk's been wilding out for years." When she saw Kirk with that woman, she was in complete shock because she had not only seen her husband fighting, but she also knew who Kirk was seeing. The drama quickly escalated because Kendra yelled and pointed fingers, creating such a scene that the police arrived before security could even control the situation. As a result, Kirk Frost and Mendeecees ended up in handcuffs, looking like two idiots who couldn't control their hands or their egos. The nightclub went from security was worn out from trying and failing to stop the chaos as red and blue lights filled the room. People were scurrying, phones were recording, and Kirk Frost and Mendeecees were still irate and talking trash in the middle of it all. However, they were now in serious trouble because, let's be clear, the Atlanta Police Department was not here to play. They took one look at the scene, saw tables flipped, drinks spilled, and people screaming, and immediately began making arrests. You know who they went for? Mendeecees and Kirk were the first to arrive, and let's be honest, Mendeecees' heart had to sink when he saw the police. This man has been dealing with legal drama for years, and the last thing he needed was to be handcuffed, once more after he had finally gotten out and was on parole. However, Kirk, still believed he could talk his way out of it. According to witnesses, Kirk was attempting to act calm by telling the officers, "Come on, man, this ain't nothing, just a small miscommunication." However, the police weren't impressed. Young Jock, who had somehow escaped handcuffs, stood in the corner yelling, "Dude, this is crazy. You're really locking them up over some little club drama. You literally worsened it, sir. Maybe you should sit this one out." However, just when it appeared that Kirk and Mendeecees were the only ones going down, things took another crazy turn. This was because numerous people had already told them that Kirk and Mendeecees were the ones who started the entire altercation. Remember Kendra, sweetheart? She was determined to make this night even messier. Here's what happened. While the why. Police dealt with Kirk and Mendeecees. Kendra continued to pop off about the woman Kirk had been playing with, and then she tried to swing on her. Yes, you heard correctly, Kendra, who should have been the elegantly put-together lawyer, completely lost her professionalism and went into full-on hip-hop and love mode. Security had to grab her before she could land a hit, and at that point, the police were finished. One of the officers yelled, "That's it." Yandy had been watching the whole situation as if she were at a movie premiere, but she allowed Mendeecees to be cuffed without making a scene. "Oh hell no, you all are not taking my husband for this bullshit," Yandy yelled as soon as they began cuffing Mendeecees. And just like that, Kendra was thrown in the back of the squad car right next to her husband. However, the police weren't on the scene. Mood. "Ma'am, if you don't back up, you're coming too," one of them warned, turning toward her. Then, Yandy abruptly changed the subject. "You can say whatever you want about her, but she knows when to pick her battles." Now, Kirk, Mendeecees, and Kendra are both in jail, and the internet went completely crazy. As soon as those mugshots appeared, people were making fun of Kirk for being caught cheating once more, and making fun of Mendeecees for being Atlanta's most unconcerned husband turned street. Speaking of Rashida, what part did she play in all of this? According to sources, she was at home taking care of her business as usual, but the moment she received the call about Kirk's arrest, she snapped at baby. One viral tweet said, "Kendra's out here fighting side chicks while her man is sitting in jail grinning like it's a family reunion photo." Another said, "Someone tell Kirk that Rashida isn't saving him this time." Insiders claim that Rashida was done. They say that she said, "Pack your bags, we're getting a divorce, and let's be honest, Kirk has been playing in this woman's face for years." Eventually, enough was enough, but Kirk thought he could make things right because, apparently, this man was calling Rashida from jail using the same cliched excuses that he had been using for the past 10 years. And guess what Rashida did? She hung up on him, according to sources, and didn't even let him finish his sentence. Since Kirk hasn't learned by now, he never will. But let's return to the jail situation. Kirk, Mendeecees, and Kendra are sitting in jail waiting to learn what charges they are actually facing. The list was lengthy and included disorderly conduct, public intoxication, disturbing the peace, resisting arrest, and Kendra. She was charged with an additional charge of attempted assault. At this point, everyone was rushing to determine who was posting bail first, and let's just say that not everyone was feeling giving. Bail Mendeecees out immediately. You heard that right. She was upset and wanted him to sit in there for a short while to reflect on his actions. As for Kirk, he was expecting Rashida to arrive, but after that phone call, he needed to start reevaluating his entire life. Kendra's sources claim that young Jock was working behind the scenes to get her out because, let's face it, if Kendra had to spend even one night in jail, Jock would be looking at divorce papers by morning, sweetie. Meanwhile, the internet continued to consume every moment of the judge wasn't going to let them off easy because this wasn't just some random drama. There were witnesses, there was video footage, and this all happened at the same time. Reality stars were weighing in on the drama, fans were comparing their mugshots side by side, and even some celebrities couldn't help but join in on the mess. One of the most embarrassing comments 50 Cent made on Instagram was, "Man, love and hip-hop got more arrests than the Super Bowl." And to be honest, he wasn't lying. An elite club, and as soon as the judge saw that footage, the entire atmosphere in the courtroom changed. You could actually feel the change in energy as soon as the video began to play. "Oh, so this is what we are dealing with," the judge said, leaning back, arms folded, and shaking their head. The video captured everything, including Kirk losing. Mendeecees throwing hands, Kendra fighting, exhausted security, and the police intervening as if to break up a WrestleMania match. One word, you don't want these problems, bro. Mendeecees said, "You got me screwed, man. Watch yourself." Kirk yelled, "I know you did not just disrespect me like that." And Kendra exclaimed, "Oh baby, this was way beyond just some little bar altercation. This was concrete proof." The judge was unimpressed, and as soon as the video ended, they looked over their glasses and said, "Let me get this straight. You three grown adults thought it was appropriate to bring a WWE SmackDown event to a fancy nightclub. First up, Mendeecees. You should know better, Mr. Harris," the judge said, glaring down at Mendeecees. "You've already had legal troubles. You've been trying to keep clean, and now you're back in my courtroom for what?" "A nightclub brawl," Mendeecees began, trying to maintain his composure. "Your Honor, it wasn't like that. I was just like, oh no, it was exactly like that because I just watched the video." The judge interrupted him, and it was awful. Then it was Kirk's turn. The judge was prepared, and I almost felt bad for you, Mr. Frost. You're a middle-aged man out here acting like a careless teenager, making trouble in clubs. Remember, you are the reason this whole thing began. Your careless choices, your incapacity to remain faithful, and your total lack of self-control. Kirk had nothing to say. He just sat there looking like he wanted to vanish. I just watched you try to physically assault another woman. Do you have any idea how unprofessional and downright ridiculous that looks? Kendra knew she had messed up, and now she was fighting back tears. The judge then hit them with the sentencing after reviewing the evidence. Mr. Frost, you will pay. Remember, Kendra is an attorney, knows the law, and is supposed to be the responsible one. The judge then turned to Mendeecees Mr. Harris, saying, "Given your past record, I'm sending you to 30 days in county jail. Perhaps some time away from the nightlife will help you rethink your decisions." Finally, Kendra Mrs. Robinson, an attorney, said, "Your actions tonight were completely unacceptable. You will be fined $5,000 and placed on professional probation, $10,000 in fines, and undergo mandatory anger management and infidelity counseling. Yes, you heard me right." Mendez was furious and muttering, "This is some bull," before Yandy shoved him and whispered, "Boy, shut up before they add more time." Kirk, oh, he looked ill, and his only thought was, how am I going to explain this to Rashida? And Kendra reminded him that he needed to finish a rehabilitation program for public misconduct, or risk losing his law license. She was just 2 seconds away from having a complete breakdown. But let me tell you something. While Kirk was sitting in that courtroom looking foolish, Rashida was out there posting cryptic Instagram messages like a queen knows when to leave. Some people will never change, so there's no negotiating respect. Oh yeah, she was done, and the fans were consuming this. They were berating Kirk on Twitter, saying that he had jumped from being the man of the house to being in court for acting, like a fool at the club. However, Yandy was doing everything in her power to limit the harm. She was out there saying things like, "As a family, we are dealing with everything in private. We are looking into the mistake that Mendeecees made." But the shade Yandy's statement in an interview that I just think some men forget they are too old for this type of drama was the shade. Oop, you already know Mendeecees was the target of that one. At the same time, someone added Kirk's mugshot to a photo of Rashida leaving with the words, "Boy, bye." He continued to act awkwardly on Instagram Live, babbling all night. He said, "I'm just trying to warn you about what happens when people don't know how to behave. Please, Jock, you started this." In addition, Kendra's law firm was not pleased, which means that she is on thin ice. The The firm reportedly released a statement that basically stated, "We do not condone unprofessional behavior." And the crowd loved it. Can you imagine making a legal degree just to be placed on the no hiring list because you wanted to fight over Kirk Frost? One commenter said, "Tragic," with the caption, "Love and Hip Hop Locked Up Edition coming up next on VH1, and now he may not be mistaken." So what comes next? Kirk is desperately trying to keep his marriage intact. Mendeecees is counting down the days until his release, and Kendra is fervently hoping that was the funniest response, but it also used the mugshots of Kirk and Mendeecees. 50 Cent. What do you think? Is this the last straw between Kirk and Rashida? Will Kendra lose her job soon? Will Mendeecees really spend 30 days in jail for a club brawl? This tea is still boiling, baby. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Let's discuss it in the comments. There you have it, people. Rashida is out here reclaiming her peace like a true queen. Kendra is fighting for it. But the real question is, who is really at fault here? Did Kirk just get what was coming to him? Should Mendeecees have just walked away instead of throwing hands? And did Kendra just risk her entire career over a man who keeps embarrassing her? One thing is for sure, Love and Hip Hop never lets you down when it comes to drama, but this may be the craziest scandal yet, and you know there are going to be. Do you think the judge was too harsh, or did Mendeecees deserve that 30-day sentence? Please, share your thoughts in the comments below. This tea is still hot, and you know I have more exclusives coming. While you're at it, hit the notification bell, like this video, and subscribe to the channel. Are breakups on the horizon? Are lawsuits coming? Maybe even an emergency VH1 cast meeting? Tell me, whose side are you all on? Because there is still more to come in this story.